So the other day, I saw the ad drop for the Tucker Carlson Harmeet Dhillon sit down interview, and I thought that'll be interesting. I'll watch that. And I think the next day I watched the first 15, 20 minutes of it, and then, life happened. And yesterday I finally came back and finished watching it. And by the time I got to the end of it, I was a little shell shocked. And in the time since then, I've become angry that no one else seems to be asking this question. And I don't know, it flabbergasts me as someone who has seen more than one person that I love go through and thankfully overcome domestic violence. In this interview, Harmeet Dhillon talks about a very credible account of a very public incident where the second so-called gentleman slapped a woman across the face in front of a line full of people, and the valet that he got jealous of because the woman was tipping the valet so they could leave faster because they were there together. And he slaps her so hard she spins around. And my first thought was, if he'll do that in public with that many witnesses, he will do far, far worse in private where there are no witnesses, because that is just the nature of that kind of abusive man, in my experience. Then she says that, and I believe it's the same woman that was slapped, later recounts that this man that is supposedly a gentleman casually tells her that the nanny, which Harmeet clarifies in this interview, was actually the teacher of his two elementary school age children, who was also covering like tutoring nanny duties as well. So he casually tells this other woman that he publicly assaulted that he caused the miscarriage of the nanny's child and not by abortion. Now she leaves it at that. But I'm a connector of dots. I'm a gatherer of the facts and then look at them all together. You've got a public physical assault, and you have him casually admitting to being the cause of the miscarriage of what was most likely his child. My mind has only one answer for that. And finally, Tucker asks, and it didn't all necessarily appear in this order, but this is my thinking. Tucker asks Harmeet if Kamala Harris is the same person today as she was 20 years ago. To which she replies, no. 20, and again, I'm paraphrasing, 20 years ago, she was a confident, articulate woman who owned the room when she walked in. That is not the woman we see today. Tucker also mentions in this interview that at the beginning of the debate, and he mentions that it's worth going back and looking at the tape again, that at the beginning of the debate, what he saw in her eyes was fear. And for the first time, I'm thinking she's got the Democratic machine telling her what she can and can't say. And is it possible that she also has a husband who, if she says the wrong thing, she's going to pay for it when she gets home? Now, if that were the case, the amount of fear and anxiety that would cause in a person would absolutely create word salad, because she would be constantly trying to think of, what can I say that will be acceptable to both of those parties? And then I'm going to play you this little clip, or I'm going to play the first part of it, and then I'm got something else to add to what was said here. But
what concerns me as a 30-year plus activist on domestic violence is the prospect that somebody like that might be in the White House. I think that's very scary, and that the president of the United States might be an enabler of somebody like that. That really bothers me.
something that bothers me is, how can you ask that question without also asking the question, what if she's a victim of somebody like that? And again, I don't know that she is, but the more I process the information in this interview alongside my life experience, most notably of watching my mother help her best friend extract herself from an abusive situation, I think we have to find out.
Well, yeah. What? So that's the obvious question. I mean, these sound like these are. This is not Brett Kavanaugh stuff. These are credible.
I think it's very credible. These stories were sourced with multiple sources, and I think there's probably more that's going to come out. I won't be surprised. But concern.
And after all that, I do not see how no one else seems to be asking the question. Is the second so-called gentleman physically abusing the Vice President of the United States? Is that why she's always wearing long sleeves and goes long periods of time where we don't see her? Is she waiting for bruises to heal up enough that she can cover them up with some concealer? I don't know the answer to that, but I think we have to ask the question.